Jim, you really got a great start to the year 2022, especially with Rocket Boys, in which you played scientist Homi J Bhabha. It's a winning performance and a memorable one as well. I have many questions about it, but it's right to say that everyone loved and have great things to say about the role that you played in Rocket Boys. So to begin with, how much into the making of that show you got that feeling that okay, you all were creating something special.
Well, I think we thought it was special right from the get-go, mostly because these two men, which is so interesting that the more you read about them, the more you learned about them, the more you realize that, I mean, we're not even scratching the surface of how interesting and how huge their contributions have been in the world and in India specifically. So right from the get-go, there was this energy and this, I wouldn't say nervousness, more like a a pleasurable energy that you knew we're trying to do something that could be great. Let's hope that we reach there, and so I think that was generally the attitude we were approaching with it. And everybody from the director down to the ADs, down to the lighting team, the camera team, the costume team, the production design team, the producers, everyone came at the show with a lot of honesty to try to make a good show. And my God, it would have been heartbreaking if if the show just hadn't met our expectations, or the audience hadn't liked it. I think it would have been deeply disappointing for all of us, because we really worked hard and we really tried to make it good. I mean, last year I shot Rocket Boys season 1 and most of season 2. Another OTT thing. I did the voice for another OTT thing. A fourth OTT thing, and a feature film. But the whole year still feels like it was Rocket Boys, Rocket Boys, Rocket Boys, Rocket Boys, because the amount of prep that was going into it. And Abhay is the kind of director who, this is his debut film. So in addition to the fact that he is just an extremely collaborative and intelligent and interactive human being, more than that, he was so hungry for fresh ideas. And I think that comes with being a new director, that you still want to learn and you still want to improve, and you aren't set in certain ways. And so I could really twist his arm and be like, let's workshop. We got to workshop. We got to make the scene sound good before we get on set. We don't want to waste time on set arguing about what to say. Let's reach and then try to achieve the thing that we know is good already, So just so much time was spent with him. And if I could bully the other actors also into reading with me, I would try to get them also to rehearse. Of course, they did it very willingly.
So that means you are somebody who likes to stick to the lines, and you don't like somebody improvising while shooting a scene.
No, I like improvisations. I just think that the improvisations can't be different from the cues, because if you've learned the scene in a certain way and you're waiting for my cue in order to say your next line, and you've timed it. So you want to come in right at the end of my cue, or you want to give a pause after my cue, or you want to, you have your own process as well. So I just believe that, like, if there's too many improvisations that the other person is not aware of or cannot run with, or especially when it's technical items, like scientific technical stuff or political technical stuff, then I don't think you can. I think you should have it well planned out in advance, and I think that's the writer's job. And I think it's up to the writer and the actor to work together to come to the best possible thing. I improvise a lot, actually, but I try to make sure that the improvisation can still be answered by the same thing that the next person has to speak. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, the person is busy being like, oh, but I
It was
I
very
spent one day learning this. You've said something else. How does it connect to what I'm saying?
sure.
The whole scene is different. Baba, why didn't we sit 2 minutes earlier and figure this out? You know, why? It's like that. So no, for me, it's not about being so strict with the lines that you can't free flow. You should be able to free flow, but not in a way that makes your other actor feel like they are no longer an important part of the scene,
Or taken by surprise completely.
or taken by surprise to the extent that their performance is suffering as a consequence. You know, some actors might be able to take the new thing and run with it.
Okay,
Some may not.
sure.
Some scenes you can play around because it's a goofing around scene. It's a jokey scene, you know. There's nothing too serious on the table. But when it's like serious beats and the other person has come with an idea of what they want to play, I don't think you should throw them off so much, you know. I think you can always change the intention. You can change how you say it. You can change how long you take to say it, you know. Within this, infinity is on the tip of my finger, you know.
Yeah.
Even within a limitation, you can do an infinite amount of things.
Out of the many moments in the show, my favorite one is when Homi lambast or gave it back to Crenshaw, the British donor to the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, at that party. As a viewer, it really brought smile to me and gave me that feeling that, okay, that's the hero of the series. Actors do mark the big scene in their script, but this series is your show. So was this the scene that you marked well, and how you added a bit of yourself to this character?
Um, well, I definitely marked this scene. There were quite a few scenes actually. There are quite a few scenes in the show which I had marked and I knew were like big scenes, you know. We had to get it right. Either because Abhay had already told me that it's going to be a steady cam shot, or because I just know that they are very pivotal moments. Like, for example, the argument that me and Sarbh have in the corridor outside, you know, after I say the proposal for the atom bomb. The Crenshaw scene, the interview scene between me and him. This is just in the first episode. Already there are 3 huge scenes, you know. Even the classroom scene where I'm describing about cosmic rays, that was another big one, you know. That first episode was chock full of some big scenes. I definitely spent time working on them and trying to make sure the lines really flowed, and that, you know, changing little things here and there just because it fits better in my mouth, or I think it's more suspenseful to have it like that, you know, where there are many ways to say a sentence. What's a good example? Crenshaw, you sit here eating our food, drinking our wine, living off the sweat and the blood of our people. But what will happen to the likes of you when you're back in your own country, Crenshaw, with no observable skills or talent whatsoever? I wonder what will become of you. And then the last line, which is just, I call him like belligerent, and I call him some, you know, a horrible guy, and I say his only claim to fame is pissing away his father's money and being a massive cunt, you know. So do you put the insult first, you know? Do you say, Crenshaw, you're a cunt whose only claim to fame is pissing away his father's money? No, it doesn't have the same punch, you know, to it. So it just sounds better if you flip the two, you know. It's just a better word to end on, you know. It has so many consonants. Cunt. It's like a punch in the face, you know, which he's about to do to me. So things like this, you know, where me and Abhay would sit and we'd tweak and we tried one way and we tried another way and then decide, no, this way sounds better. This is the better final moment, you know.
And also, you place Pipsy in the end. You end up impressing her.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And she said, you know, I'm not impressed, or, you know, I'm disappointed. It's a disappointed evening. So I said, I hope this makes up for the initial disappointment. And then I was adamant that we should keep the sound of the kiss, but I think he's taken it out because I remember, because it's right in front of his face, right? So I've taken the hand. And I remember being like,
Nice.
I thought it was funny, but then I think it was too many insults, one after the other, you know.
Be it Homi Bhabha of Rocket Boys, Malik Kafoor of Padmavat, or Amin Faizi of Gangubai Kathiawadi, or Sanjay Dutt's friend who supplies drugs in Sanju and says Tere liye laya hu. All these parts are set in the past. Do you sometimes wonder why roles set in the past comes to you?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Apart from Tesh, Massage, no, a lot of them are set in the past. I guess, I don't know. I don't know. You're right. And weirdly, a lot of them have been biopics also. Nirja, Sanju, this. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they don't think I'm modern enough. Maybe they think I'm suited for a different time.
You have this magnetic charisma and this amazing screen presence with this unmatched acting talent, and you have become this go-to guy for the roles that require some heavy acting muscles. But looking at your filmography, you haven't signed many projects. What matters to you at this point, Jim, apart from a great script and a role to say yes?
Well, I've always wanted meaty roles, roles where I feel I can do something, where not just the doing of it will have an impression on screen, but like the doing of it will change something in me. I'll get to learn about something. I'll get to experience something. I'll get to deal with certain emotional states. I'll get to fit the shoes of somebody doing these things that I would never get to do in my regular life. Those are the things that draw me to the project. I read other scripts that they send along where it's like friend of the lead, and you it's just so clear that you're just there to prop the person up, make them look good. Um, what will I learn from that? What will I get apart from money and being in a film? It doesn't, you know, you have a limited amount of time in this world, and you can't add add to it by not dying. So you can only add to it by living deeply. And if you're taking on projects where you don't get to live deeply, you just go, you just do it, you leave, what's the point?
So you want to now be like you want to play mostly protagonist of the series.
I mean, I would love to be playing protagonists only, but it isn't necessarily that. It's more like, what's a part that lets me experience something I wouldn't otherwise get to experience? And of course, I would love to play lead roles. I hope Rocket Boys has opened up people's minds to the possibility of it. I think the truth of the matter is people have limited imaginations, and not, it's not a criticism. It just is what it is. If I've only seen you do a certain kind of part, let's say, I've only seen you do that part, I just assume that that's what you're good at. How can I know that there's a whole deeper, more interesting, full-on person there? You can't know. So I've always felt it's there. I've always felt it's ready to come out. But you need somebody to trust that and to believe in you, and that can only happen through conversation, dialogue, workshopping. You know, even in Nirja, the reason I got cast as Khalil was only after 4 days of workshopping.
Okay.
Otherwise, people were just brought in and they didn't know who was going to play who. And after 4 days, because how can you tell the full range of an actor in an audition? It's not possible. You have to spend some time with them. You have to discuss things with them. And I think that because I come from the theatrical tradition, I really, really, really respect the rehearsal process. And I think that I am best through rehearsal. Other people may be good without it, but I feel that the rehearsal process just makes things simpler and simpler and simpler for me, because I'm not a slow learner, but I'm slow at the beginning of anything. I don't want to show yet what I can do. I would rather go through the mechanics of something slowly. Like if it's a fight scene, some people come on and they start doing like boom, 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 boom immediately. It's like, no, let's go through it slowly, step by step, step by step. If I'm comfortable at each step now, the final product is going to be very good because I'm so comfortable. I know how to get through it. What's the point of coming, showing everything, and then not being precise? Not being. I want that. I like that precision. I like being able to, in one speech, do 10 things, not just one thing. And I think we have. I think the lack of rehearsal in general can show in films, and you can see a performance where you feel it's one note, or you feel like the whole scene has been played with the wash of only one color. Why? When you look at a painting, you don't see only one color. So why should a scene only have one color?
So a very interesting thing you said in an interview last December. You said, "I'm learning so much," and very rightly you put it that how in film it's a framing, or the frame is everything, and
Everything.
how it's not the performance, but what is kept, how it's captured matters, and the frame is the king.
Frame is
And,
king.
yeah, and that was your earlier period when you ventured in the movies. Have you now mastered the technique of acting for the camera?
Mastered, no. Improving, hopefully.
So, how do you define a difference between acting for camera to acting for stage?
Well, there's no difference. The frame is different. Uh, the frame on stage is the whole stage, or whatever part is lit, you know? And you have to remember that that frame changes depending on where you're sitting. So I have to account for the people sitting right in the front, and I have to account for the people that are sitting right at the back. The people right in the back are basically seeing this much, you know? The people right in the front are seeing this much. So consequently, you do the appropriate level and volume of acting depending on your frame. If I know that in a theatrical piece, I have to reach the person over there, and it has to be clear to them exactly what is happening. I may use my body more, I may, etc., etc., etc. Or I may have to project more than I might project in a film part. But if I know that suddenly there's a lapel mic and there's a camera on me that's showing on the screen just my face, then I no longer need to do any of that. It's just that simple.
So then, do you also have equation with cameramen? Like, do you go and understand, like, what you're shooting and how much am I coming and what frame?
There are the people that I like. We never look at the monitors and all of this stuff, and that's very good for them. But I like looking at the monitor only because, yes, I like to see what is the frame, what is my playing canvas. That's all. Just
Yeah,
like if you're watching a play, you'd sit in the audience sometimes and watch your co-actors acting. Now you're like, oh, that didn't come across. Oh, that didn't come across. They need to make it a bit bigger. Or, oh, that's too big. That is too big. They can go down. They can go down. Like similarly, you have that experience on stage. So why should you not have it in cinema? Knowing your frame can only help you.
You give a lot of importance to the punctuations, and sometimes when the sentence is same, you add like a comma or a full stop. Is that how you approach every scene?
Well, I think punctuation is actually extremely important in writing. And if you read like the Coen brothers, the Coen brothers, they did many films. Blood Simple, Barton Fink, No Country for Old Men, Fargo, the list goes on. Hail Caesar. In Fargo, I've read the script and I've watched the performance, and there's this one character, I can't remember the name of the actor who plays the part, but he talks a lot like this, someone's at the door. Every is written into the script.
Okay.
It is written there. He has done exactly what has been written. It's been written comma, o, comma, comma. If it's supposed to be o, then it's comma, o, comma, full stop. If it's just I think all of that stuff is like crucial, and that's why you need phenomenal writers that have already heard the line in their head. You just have to come and be truthful. You shouldn't be making it interesting. That's not your job. Your job is to be truthful. Of course, then you can also make it interesting and make it suspenseful and, try to do all of those other things as well. But I believe if the script is written like that, and since I come from basically from reading plays and growing up around plays, acting in the theater first, it's like the script is written, and the script is written by somebody much smarter than me, and I don't need to, you know, be smarter than them. Like, there is this tendency that I've read in scripts a lot, where instead of a comma or a full stop, they just put dot dot dot. Every transition is dot dot dot. But I'm like, so you want me to trail off every sentence? Are you sure that's what you mean? You know, and then it's like, no, that's not what they mean. They mean you make your own punctuation.
And how do you do that?
Well, you decide what you think works best. Does the sentence need to run into itself? Does the sentence need a lot of pauses while you think? Is the sentence direct? Is the sentence an exclamation?
You decide.
You decide.
You know, while researching for this conversation, I came across this book about acting in which this was mentioned that read the dialogues during the rehearsals to get the right attitude, but do not emote at this stage. The emotional element of the dialogue must be retained for the take. Is that how it works?
No, I mean, when I'm rehearsing the lines, yeah, I'll go easy on the emotional aspect, you know, of it. But I think if you've never practiced, if you've never ever practiced or rehearsed trying to do the full emotional thing, you don't know what may happen.
Okay.
You know, for example, if it's a shouting scene or if it's a very emotional scene, how do you make sure the words are still intelligible? How do you make sure the shouting doesn't become one screeching? You know, how do you make sure the shouting is still in a way that the audience understands every word? That takes practice and control and technique, you know, not just emotion. Okay. Emotion is anything. The reason it reaches you is because of technique.
Okay. You know, you said in
the but different actors have different approaches. Some actors are like, no, if I do it all before, I can't do it again. But it's like, why? I can do it again. I can do it again and again. Shall we do it again? You want another take? Let's do it.
Same emotion?
Yeah.
Sure. You know, actors like to push boundaries, and you've been very lucky to work with a director like Sanjay Bhansali, who also like to push his actors. And what is that one thing that you always enjoy while working with Mr. Bhansali?
My equation with him is very, very lovely. I enjoy working with him. I love his attention to detail and his precision, and how demanding he is from his actors, from what he wants from his actors. Mr. Bhansali wants to get it right on set. You know, there's no we'll fix it and edit. There's no there was a pause here, but it's okay, we'll take it out. No, let's get it right. Every take, every shot, every angle, you have to get it right and improve on it. Once you've got it right, let's get better. Once you've got that right, let's get better than that. No, I love that.
So then finally, do you need a pep talk with from your director on day one of the shoot, or do you look forward to a motivational speech from him that put you to the group?
No, I don't care about the pep talk. It's nice if you get one. I care more about like feedback after the take, you know. Is that right? You know, did we get it? How can it be better? How can we improve it? What can we, you know, what can we do? Or did I, you know, rise too fast? Did I accelerate too much? Should I slow it down? Should I, you know, change the way the emotions flowed through? You know, is that little bit where I gave an aside? Was it too much of an aside? You know, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more, you know, the person turning up and being like, you why did you pause for so long? And me knowing that I paused for too long, you know, then I feel that the director really sees me and sees what I'm doing, and I'm in safe hands. Because if they see what I'm doing, I'm in safe hands. You know, there are other directors sometimes that you can work with where the scene is over and they're like, just mind blowing, moving on, and you know it was shit. Then you get worried. Then you're like, oh no.
That happened with you? I don't think so. Not many times. You are a great actor. You can't be doing like such work where you know.
Sometimes you know it wasn't your best. You know, wasn't that good. It was okay.
Jim Saab, thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you very much.